Hello, I'm Matthew Turner from Enduring Domain Architecture. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time since I posted anything here, and I guess, as is common with any small business, doing any task which isn't directly income producing or working for a client tends to get a little bit neglected. So I just want to give a bit of a quick update on what the practice is up to and what we have been up to since the last time we posted a video. So obviously the world has become a very different place in the last couple of years. We've had the pandemic, a lot of people spending a lot more time at home, working from home. And I think people's view on the way that they live has changed a lot. And what I've experienced from people contacting me is that the dreams that people have had for the way that they want to live, they haven't wanted to put them on hold. They've wanted to get on with it, just realizing that being forced to work from home can be difficult if you don't have an ideal home environment or space to do that. And also the realization that the effects of climate change are becoming more and more obvious and evident, and people feeling that stronger desire to do their bit to reduce their environmental footprint and live more sustainably, more self-sufficiently. We had a bit of an extended break at the end of last year. It's been a pretty hectic year, and we've also been building our own home, which I'll talk about a bit more in a moment. So feeling refreshed, starting off the year, just a lot of new inquiries, a lot of people wanting to build more sustainably, wanting to be energy efficient, wanting to set themselves up for what is becoming maybe a bit more of an uncertain future. So there has been a lot of bad things happening in the world close to the home. We're having unprecedented floods, which people are attributing somewhat to climate change. We've had a very wet La Nina weather event over this summer in Australia. And some very severe flooding in the southeast of Queensland and down the New South Wales coast. People just not prepared for it, haven't had water levels that high. So yeah, again, it's just more evidence that things are changing, whether you think it's attributed to the activities of humans or not. I think we do need to be prepared. And keeping in mind that when we're building new buildings, conditions in 5 or 10 years from now could be very different to what they are right now, or even in less of a time frame than that. Further afield, obviously, the tragedy unfolding on a daily basis in Europe, in the Ukraine, and what might be some contentious moves from the US and other European leaders to boycott energy importing from Russia, oil and gas. I think there's been some tough decisions there, but some very justified decisions, and it's very necessary that something is done. But now we are scrambling more than ever, as if the impending climate crisis wasn't incentive enough. Sometimes it does take something as urgent as this situation to be looking at alternatives to fossil fuel. I guess my concern is that this could go two ways, that Europe and other nations could accelerate their development of renewables and energy storage, reduce reliance on fossil fuels through alternative transport, electric vehicles, making all new buildings, not just residential, but all commercial public buildings, just a lot more energy efficient than what they are, so reducing the demand on energy. The other way that it could go is that fossil fuels are being imported from other countries, that production is ramped up, that Australia starts to export more of our fossil fuels to other countries, which is probably already happening now. In Australia, I think having an abundance of natural resources can help and hinder us. As I just mentioned, we could be ramping up the exporting of our oil and gas to other countries who need it now for the profit of whoever is mining and selling that stuff. Or it could be an opportunity for us to be ramping up our transition to renewables, and the electric vehicle industry, you know, could be ramping up. So it's an interesting time, but I hope it's an opportunity to transition more quickly to a more sustainable, energy efficient future. So turning away from some of that negativity, I want to just show some examples of what we can be doing to be living more sustainably, more future-proofed. I mentioned we've been building our own home. So we're about a week away from moving into that. I'll just share with you a 3D model here. So we have used a structural method called structural insulated panels, or SIPs. You can Google that if you don't know what that is already, or you can have a look at the Structural Panels Australia website. That's the manufacturer where we got our panels made. So they're located in Daylesford. Our home is based in Smeaton, about 20 minutes drive away. So very low transportation miles for the wall structure of the house. So SIPs are a combination of structure, so they hold up the roof of your home. They provide insulation. They provide bracing, and in our case, they also serve as the internal wall lining. Another benefit of using this product is that there's a lot less timber. So we've all heard about the timber shortages, the increasing costs for timber and other materials. So this uses a lot less timber. The other benefit of that is that there's a lot less thermal bridging through the wall. So instead of having a timber stud every 450 or 600 mils across the length of your walls, in this scenario, we only have studs on either side of the window and door openings, and so less thermal bridging where heat can transfer through something solid in your wall. We have mostly insulation, which comes in the form of rigid polystyrene. So this is the north of the building. Look, visually, I'm not going to say it's going to make the front cover of Architectural Digest or win awards, because for our budget, we are all about the function, the performance of the building. But of course, that doesn't have to mean that you neglect the aesthetic joy of being in your building and how that building looks sitting within your landscape. So the area where we are, there's a lot of history. We're on a hillside. It's the site of the quarry where they mined the bluestone to Anderson's mill. So something very modern, flat roof, parapet walls is just not going to be appropriate here. So we've got a fairly steep pitched roof, which serves to shed a lot of rainwater, which falls very fast, which happens very often. Creswick just up the road flooded quite badly during the summer. But also you can mount your solar panels flat on the roof. So anywhere between about 20 and 30 degrees in our part of the world is ideal to mount your solar panels. So majority of the bigger windows on the north to let in that solar gain, one small window on the west. On the south, we've just got a glazed front door which lets light into there. We've got a toilet, bathroom, and second window for the bedroom. So really trying to put a majority of the glass on the north of the building where you're going to get the direct solar gain coming in. There it is hitting the concrete slab floor. And this simple roof overhang is all that you need to block out that high angle summer sun in the summer, but when the sun is lower in the winter and most of the rest of the year it's coming down low and comes in quite deep into the building. And I can actually show you a couple of photos of how that's looking now. Okay, I haven't done this in ages, so everything's a bit, takes me a bit of time to figure out what I'm doing. So this is taken a little while ago. As I said, the building's pretty much finished now, but this is that, that northeast corner of the build. If I get my pen here, my red pen. So this facade here is the east, which gets the morning sun. Obviously, you don't want too much of that hot morning sun in the summer, so we do have a deep veranda built over this side now, which does provide a lot of shade to that glass. But at about 10:30 in the morning in winter, the sun can come in underneath that veranda and be heating up this living room window here, starting to hit the building early in the morning. You can see all along the edge of the building, that's our slab edge insulation. So the building has the full level about 250 mils above ground level, which is actually in accordance with the Australian standard, but you don't often see many people do that. So what that allows you to do is to build up paving around your building and then have a step of about 150 mils up to your floor level. So I know some people don't like that. They like that smooth, stepless transition into their building. But from practicality's sake, that's a detail you'll probably thank me for, when it's going to stop direct rainwater from coming in and lots of leaves and debris from easily getting in through your open doors. It just helps to keep your house cleaner and keep that water out. So that slab edge insulation goes all the way down into the footing, quite deep into the ground. So it does actually protect the perimeter of the slab from greater fluctuations in temperature, which you tend to experience around that ground level, less so directly under the building where it's more protected. Go into more detail with our home once we move in. We'll produce a couple more videos on YouTube. Just try and get, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna stop that share. Okay, what else have we been doing? Right. Here is a home in Clunes. The old bit at the front was the original miner's cottage. When the owners bought it a couple of years ago, we were a very dilapidated state. I couldn't really say it was fit for human habitation. There was more of it out the back, which was obviously an addition later in the history of the building. It was that sort of typical rambling skillion roofs, which get lower and lower as you get down the back. The floor basically sitting on the dirt. So like a lot of mold, a lot of rotted timber. So the builders actually jacked up the building, put in a new floor, new footings, re-roofed it. There's probably going to be some new windows. So the building's going to look as it would have done 100 years ago, but new. And that was very important for the owners to keep that heritage street facade and to keep something of value, because once people demolish these things, it's gone forever. So I do applaud the owners for going to the trouble of retaining that. You can see to the rear is the addition that we've done. And that view from the street, it's very low key. It's not a very imposing, visually imposing addition that you can see from the street. Looking further down the back, you can see the extent of the addition. We have this larger pod or wing, which is physically distant from the old existing miners' cottage on the left. That's to just give the old building a bit of space, let the roof of the old building just have its own form, avoiding any awkward junctions and box gutters from attaching a new bit of building. We do have this link that has a lower roof, and that also just gives some physical separation for the new wing to get some sun into it. So this section of the new wing here, which is at a bit of an angle to the rest of the building, is actually facing solar north. So that's going to get sun in there all throughout the day during winter and not be overshaded by the existing building. The area of the shiplap, the red timber there, is recessed back from the main form, and that's so that that does have some shade when we need it from the higher angle sun. So I haven't just created this form that looks like this for the sake of it. It all has a function. The connecting wing, that's a transition space from the old into the new. It has an area in there for some planter beds where you can propagate some kitchen herbs and so forth throughout the winter. And it's also just a bit of an area for pausing to read a book, an in-between space that you can enjoy. It's not just a passageway. So this is looking back at the building from the backyard, and that is a west to southwest facing facade. So in summer, the sun does come down very low. It's very difficult to shade low afternoon sun. So we've got a very deep recess to that building form there, which serves as a covered outdoor area and does provide a lot of shade to that back window that you can see there. That's actually a bifold that can open up. But I think if the owners find at certain times of the day, in summer, late in the day, that sun coming in is too much, they've got some infrastructure there to drop some block-out blinds down from, while still having a bit of view and light either side of that blind. So yeah, you've got to be realistic and expect that a west-facing window is going to have some unwanted sun, but you just need to allow that there is some control to block that sun out, something better than just closing the blind from the inside, because then you don't get any light or any view, and you really want to try and stop that sun from hitting the glass at all.